Midnight in London, and the stars gleam like cold eyes. Scream pierces the fog, then silence. A body lies under the gaslight, a star-shaped pendant at its throat. Hercule Poirot steps into the shadows, chasing a killer who leaves clues written. In starlight, ready for a mystery that twists until the final second? Let's unravel Poirot's hunt for the Starlit Killer together. The story begins in the heart of London, where the night air hums with secrets. Hercule Poirot, his mustache as sharp as his mind, stands in a dimly lit square, his polished shoes clicking softly on the cobblestones. Before him lies the body of Lily Marwood, a young governess, her pale face frozen in a serene expression that belies the violence of her death. Her silk dress pools around her, and a silver star-shaped pendant glints at her neck, catching the flicker of a nearby gas lamp. Police, led by the gruff Inspector Japp, are already on the scene there. Lanterns casting long shadows. A crumpled note in Lily's hand reads, "The stars will guide," written in elegant, looping script. Poirot's eyes narrow as he kneels beside her, his gloved fingers brushing the fabric of her sleeve. There, almost invisible, is a smudge of ash, carrying the faint scent of cardamom and cloves, an exotic clue in a city of soot and rain. Hercule Poirot murmurs, his Belgian accent softening the word. This is no random crime. It's a performance, and the Starlit Killer has just taken center stage. Lily Marwood was no ordinary victim. At 25, she was a governess for the wealthy Ashburn family, teaching their two young daughters with a quiet grace that won hearts. Friends described her as kind, with a laugh like a bell and a habit of stargazing on clear nights. Was last seen at a charity gala in Mayfair, her green eyes sparkling as she bid farewell to colleagues. "I'll see you tomorrow," she'd said, stepping into the foggy night. But tomorrow never came. Now her body lies in this silent square, and the city buzzes with fear. Would kill a woman like Lily, and why leave such a cryptic note? Poirot begins his investigation at the scene, his mind a whirl of questions. He notices the precision of the crime. No signs of struggle, no blood, just a single bruise on her wrist, as if she'd been gently restrained. The ash on her sleeve. Intrigues him most it's not the usual London grime, but something foreign, deliberate. He pockets a sample in a small vial, already suspecting it's a breadcrumb left by the killer. Poirot's first stop is the Ashburn estate, a grand house with ivy-clad walls and a nervous air. Lord Ashburn, a wiry man with a twitching mustache, greets Poirot with forced civility. Lily was a gem, he insists, his voice tight. No enemies, no scandals. But Poirot, ever the observer, catches the way Ashburn's fingers drum on the armrest, the way his eyes dart to a locked drawer in his study. Over tea, Lady Ashburn is more forthcoming, her voice trembling as she recalls Lily's love for astronomy. She'd point out constellations to the girls, she says, dabbing her eyes. She even had that star pendant made for herself. Poirot's little gray cells hum. Could the pendant be the key? Or is it a distraction, like the ash? He asks to see Lily's room, where he finds a journal filled with sketches of stars and cryptic phrases. The hunter watches, the sky betrays. Each entry feels like a whisper from the killer, daring Poirot to catch up. Back at his modest flat, Poirot pores over the evidence, his desk a chaos of notes and coffee cups. The star pendant, the ash, the note, they form a constellation of clues, but the pattern is elusive. He recalls a detail from the crime scene. The body was positioned precisely, arms angled as if pointing to the North Star. Is the killer an astronomer? A poet? Or something more sinister? Poirot's friend, Captain Hastings, stops by, his cheerful optimism a contrast to Poirot's intensity. "Sounds like a madman, Poirot," Hastings says, sipping brandy. "Or a genius," Poirot replies, his eyes gleaming. He begins to suspect the killer is playing a game, one where each murder is a move on a chessboard, only they understand. The ash, he learns from a chemist friend, contains traces of rare spices used in Eastern rituals. Another clue that points beyond London's borders. As the chapter draws to a close, Poirot steps onto his balcony, gazing at the starry sky. The city feels alive with menace. the fog curling like a predator waiting to strike. He senses the killer is watching, perhaps even now, planning their next move. The note's words echo in his mind. The stars will guide, but guide to what? Another victim? A revelation? Poirot's resolve hardens. You may hide in the shadows, mon ami, he whispers, but Hercule Poirot will find you. The stage is set, the hunt is on, and the Starlit Killer's game has only just begun. What secrets will Poirot uncover next? Stick with us for Chapter 2, where a second crime scene deepens the mystery and pulls Poirot into a web of lies. You're gripped by this tale? Smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell weave. Got more twists coming your way. The fog in London grows thicker, as if the city itself is holding its breath. Hercule Poirot sits in his neatly ordered flat, the glow of a single lamp illuminating his desk, where Lily Marwood's star pendant rests beside the vial of spiced ash. His little gray cells are restless, piecing together the cryptic clues from the first murder. But before he can visit the chemist to analyze the ash further, a sharp knock at the door breaks his focus. It's Inspector Japp, his face grim. "Another one, Poirot," he says, his voice heavy. "Same as before? You'd better come quick." Poirot's heart quickens as he grabs his coat and cane, stepping into the damp night. A second body has been found in a secluded park, and the Starlit Killer has struck again. This time, the victim is a man, and the crime scene is even more theatrical, pulling Poirot deeper into a labyrinth of mystery. Let's dive into the shadows and uncover what this new murder reveals. The crime scene is Hampstead Heath, sprawling park where the stars seem brighter, unclouded by the city's usual haze. Poirot and Japp arrive to find a cordoned off clearing, where a man lies sprawled on the grass, his eyes staring blankly at the sky. He's dressed in a fine suit, his tie loosened as if he'd been caught off guard. A star-shaped brooch is pinned to his lapel, its silver edges glinting under police lanterns. Like Lily, he holds a note in his stiff fingers. The stars align. Poirot kneels, his keen eyes scanning the body. The victim is identified as Victor Grayson, a wealthy art dealer in his 40s, known for his charm and secretive dealings. There's no blood, no weapon, just a faint bruise on his neck, suggesting a precise, almost clinical method of death. Poirot's gaze lingers on Grayson's cufflink, smudged with the same exotic ash he found on Lily. The scent of cardamom and cloves is unmistakable. Signature as bold as the killer's notes. Mon Dieu, Poirot whispers, "This is no coincidence? Killer is weaving a story, and we are but readers." Victor Grayson's life was as enigmatic as his death. Poirot learns from Japp that Grayson was a fixture in London's high society, brokering rare paintings and sculptures for the elite. His gallery in Mayfair was a hub for the wealthy. But whispers followed him, rumors of forged artworks, black market deals, and scorned clients. Could one of these shadows have turned deadly? Poirot visits Grayson's gallery, a sleek space filled with haunting portraits and celestial-themed sculptures. The manager, a nervous young woman named Clara, tells Poirot that Grayson was at the same charity gala as Lily Marwood the night she died. "He seemed distracted," Clara says, twisting her hands. "He kept checking his watch, muttering about a meeting under the stars." Poirot's eyebrows lift. Connection between the victims emerges, faint but undeniable. Both attended the gala, both died under open skies, both marked by stars and ash. The killer is choosing their prey with care, but why? Poirot's investigation takes him to the gala's organizer, a flamboyant socialite named Madame Duval. Her drawing room is a riot of velvet and gold, but her smile falters when Poirot mentions the murders. "Lily and Victor? Together at my gala?" She says, her French accent sharp. "Monsieur, it was a night of laughter, not death." Yet Poirot senses her unease, the way her fingers clutch her pearl necklace. He presses gently, asking about the guest list, the seating arrangements. Madame Duval admits Grayson and Lily were seated at the same table, alongside a reclusive astronomer named Dr. Elias Thorne. Poirot's little gray cells spark astronomy, stars, a killer obsessed with the heavens. Could Thorne be involved? Or is he another piece in the killer's celestial puzzle? Madame Duval hands over a photograph from the gala, showing Lily laughing, Grayson leaning close, and Thorne staring at the ceiling, as if lost in the stars. Poirot tucks the photo into his notebook, his mind racing. Back at the crime scene, Poirot revisits the details, his cane tapping a steady rhythm. Grayson's body was positioned deliberately, his arms outstretched, forming a cross that aligns with the constellation Orion overhead. The precision is chilling, a message carved in flesh and starlight. Poirot notices something new. A faint imprint in the grass near Grayson's hand, as if a small object had been removed. A missing clue, perhaps stolen by the killer, or a witness? He questions the park's night watchman, an elderly man named Tom, who swears he saw a cloaked figure fleeing the scene. Moved like a ghost they did, Tom mutters, his eyes wide. Had something shiny in their hand. Poirot's pulse quickens. The killer is bold, leaving clues, but covering their tracks with care. The ash, the star brooch, the note there taunts, daring Poirot to solve the riddle before the next star falls. In his flat, Poirot spreads out his evidence. Lily's pendant, Grayson's brooch, the notes, the ash, the gala photo. He sketches a map of the crime scenes. Noting their locations form a pattern arc across London, like a constellation drawn on the city itself. He recalls Lily's journal. With its cryptic phrases, the hunter watches, the sky betrays. Could the hunter refer to Orion, the constellation Grayson's body mimicked? Or is it the killer, stalking their prey? Poirot consults an astronomy book, confirming Orion's prominence in the night sky this season. The killer's obsession with stars is no mere flourish, it's the key to their method, their motive. But what drives them? Revenge? Madness? Or something darker, rooted in the past? As the chapter nears its end, Poirot receives a chilling delivery. A small package, left at his doorstep with no sender's name. Inside is a star-shaped charm, identical to Lily's and Grayson's, wrapped in a note that reads, "The stars await, Monsieur Poirot." His blood runs cold. The killer knows his name, his address. This is no longer a game, it's a challenge, personal and deadly. Poirot steps to his window, the city sprawling below, its lights dimmed by fog. Somewhere out there, the Starlit Killer is watching, plotting their next move. "You think to frighten Hercule Poirot?" he says softly, his voice steel. "Nan, it is you who shall fear the light of truth." The hunt grows darker, and the stakes are higher than ever. More in us for Chapter 3, where Poirot tracks Dr. Elias Thorne and uncovers a secret that threatens to unravel everything. If this mystery has you on edge, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more twists in this starry tale. The London night is restless, its stars obscured by a veil of fog that clings to the city like a shroud. Hercule Poirot sits in his flat, the star-shaped charm from the killer's taunting package glinting under his desk lamp. The note that stars await, Monsieur Poirot lies beside it, its words a cold challenge that sets his little gray cells ablaze. 2 victims, Lily Marwood and Victor Grayson, both marked by star-shaped trinkets and exotic ash, both linked to a charity gala. And now the killer has turned their gaze on Poirot himself. His investigation points to Dr. Elias Thorne, the reclusive astronomer who shared a table with the victims at the gala. Could this man, obsessed with the heavens, be the Starlit Killer? Or is he another pawn in this deadly celestial game? Poirot dons his overcoat, his cane tapping with purpose, and sets out to find Thorne. The trail leads to a shadowy observatory where secrets lurk in the starlight. Let's follow Poirot as he steps closer to the truth and deeper into danger. Poirot arrives at the Royal Observatory in Greenwich, a looming structure of brick and glass perched on a hill. The night is crisp, the air heavy with the scent of damp grass. Dr. Elias Thorne, a gaunt man with hollow cheeks and eyes like burning coals, greets Poirot with a wary nod. His office is a chaos of star charts, telescopes, and books on celestial navigation, the walls plastered with diagrams of constellations. "I study the stars, Monsieur Poirot," Thorne says, his voice low and rasping, They are eternal, unlike men. Poirot, ever polite, smiles, but notes the tremor in Thorne's hands the way his gaze flicks to a locked cabinet in the corner. The detective mentions the gala, probing gently. Thorne admits he sat with Lily and Grayson, but claims he barely knew them. We spoke of Orion, he says, gesturing to a chart. Lily was fascinated by its mythology, the hunter, the betrayer. Poirot's ears prick up. Lily's journal mentioned the hunter watches. Is this a coincidence or a clue? Thorne's reticence intrigues Poirot, who shifts tactics, asking about the exotic ash found at the crime scenes. Thorne's face pales, and he mutters something about incense used in ancient stargazing rituals. From the east, he says, spices like cardamom and cloves, burned to honor the heavens. Poirot's mind races. The ash is no accident. It's a ritualistic signature. He presses Thorne further, mentioning the star-shaped trinkets. The astronomer's composure cracks, his fingers gripping the edge of his desk. I collect such things, he admits, opening the locked cabinet. To reveal a collection of star-shaped artifacts, pendants, brooches, charms. None match the killer's exactly, but the similarity is uncanny. Poirot's suspicion deepens. Is Thorne the killer, hiding in plain sight, or is he being framed, his obsession with stars making him the perfect scapegoat? Leaving the observatory, Poirot visits Captain Hastings at a nearby pub, seeking a second perspective. Over a pint, Hastings listens as Poirot recounts Thorne's odd behavior. Sounds like your man, Poirot, Hastings says, ever eager for a simple solution. An astronomer, star trinkets, ritual ash. It's him, but Poirot shakes his head, his mustache twitching. Non mon ami. The killer is cleverer than that. Thorne is a piece of the puzzle, but not the whole picture. Back at his flat, Poirot pores over the gala photograph, zooming in on Thorne's face. There in the background is a shadowy figure watching the tabula cloaked silhouette, barely visible. Could this be the killer, stalking their prey even then? Poirot cross-references the guest list, noting a name that keeps surfacing, Margaret Hale, a widow who donated heavily to the gala and was seen speaking with both victims. Her connection is vague, but Poirot's instincts hum she's worth. Investigating the next day, Poirot visits Margaret Hale's townhouse, a stately home filled with astronomical decor. Star-patterned rugs, a telescope by the window. Margaret, a poised woman in her 50s with sharp blue eyes, greets him warmly, but with a guarded edge. She confirms she knew Lily and Grayson, describing them as charming but secretive. When Poirot mentions the ash, she laughs it off, claiming it's common in her travels to India. I bring back spices, Monsieur Poirot, not secrets, she says, but her smile doesn't reach her eyes. Poirot notices a star-shaped locket around her neck, identical to the killer's charms. She brushes it off as a gift from a friend, but Poirot's little gray cells are on fire. Is Margaret Hale the Starlit Killer, or another link in the chain? He leaves her home with more questions than answers. The locket's image burned into his mind as night falls. Poirot returns to his flat, where a new discovery awaits. A hidden note in Lily's journal, tucked between pages he'd overlooked. It reads, "The hunter's belt points to truth." The hunter Orion again. Poirot consults his astronomy book, noting that Orion's belt, 3 bright stars, aligns with key landmarks in London. Mapping the crime scenes, he sees a pattern. Lily's Square, Grayson's Park. In a third location, a churchyard form, a triangle mimicking Orion's belt. Is the killer using the city as a canvas, plotting murders to match the stars? The realization chills him. This is no random spree. It's a meticulously planned symphony of death. But why? And who's next? Poirot's thoughts are interrupted by a distant scream carried on the wind. He rushes to his window, heart pounding, but sees only fog and stars. The chapter closes with Poirot standing on his balcony, the killer's charm in his hand. The note's words, "The stars await," feel like a countdown. He knows the killer is watching, their game growing bolder. "You think to outwit Hercule Poirot?" he murmurs, his voice steady despite the darkness pressing in. "The stars may guide you, but I shall guide them to you." The hunt intensifies, and the next move could be deadly. Stay with us for Chapter 4, where Poirot follows the Orion's belt pattern to a chilling new crime scene that reveals a shocking truth. If this mystery has you hooked, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell. We're just getting started. The London fog swirls thicker, as if conspiring with the Starlit Killer to cloak their secrets. Hercule Poirot stands in his flat, the star-shaped charm from the killer's chilling package glinting in his hand. His discovery of the Orion's belt pattern formed by the crime scenes of Lily Marwood and Victor Grayson has ignited his little gray cells. The cryptic note in Lily's journal, "The hunter's belt points to truth," suggests a third location, a churchyard, completing the celestial triangle. As Poirot maps the pattern, a sense of urgency grips him. The killer is crafting a deadly constellation across London, and the next murder may already be in motion. A late-night call from Inspector Japp confirms his fears. Another body has been found in the very churchyard Poirot suspected. With his cane in hand and his mind razor-sharp, Poirot ventures into the night, determined to unravel the killer's next move. Let's step into the eerie glow of the churchyard, where the stars cast shadows and secrets. The crime scene is St. Mary's Churchyard, a quiet enclave nestled in Whitechapel, its ancient gravestones weathered by time. Air is heavy with the scent of damp earth and fading roses. Poirot arrives to find police lanterns illuminating a grim tableau. A young man lies sprawled beneath an oak tree, his body positioned with chilling precision. His arms are angled to mimic the third star in Orion's belt, and a star-shaped cufflink gleams on his wrist. A note tucked into his pocket reads, "The stars burn eternal." Poirot's heart sinks as he recognizes the killer's signature, the same exotic ash cardamom and cloves dusts. The victim's coat. The victim is identified as Thomas Reed, a journalist known for his exposes on London's elite. Inspector Japp, his face etched with frustration, mutters, "This one's fresh, Poirot. Killed within the hour." Poirot kneels beside the body, noting a faint burn mark on Reed's neck, suggesting a poison or chemical. The killer's method is evolving, but their obsession with stars remains unwavering. Thomas Reed was a rising star in journalism, his articles sharp and fearless. At 30, he'd made enemies among the powerful, digging into scandals involving art fraud and secret societies. Poirot learns from Japp that Reed was investigating a mysterious group called the Order of the Celestial Veil, rumored to conduct rituals under starlight. The connection to the killer's celestial theme sends a shiver down Poirot's spine. Could Reed's digging have brought him too close to the truth? Poirot visits Reed's cramped office, a clutter of papers and photographs. Among them, he finds a blurred snapshot from the charity gala, showing Reed talking to Dr. Elias Thorne and Margaret Hale. The trio's faces are tense, as if caught in a heated exchange. Poirot's mind races three victims, all linked to the gala, all marked by stars and ash. The Order of the Celestial Veil looms larger, a shadowy thread tying the murders together. Poirot tracks down a source mentioned in Reed's notes, a former member of the Order, a frail woman named Agnes, who now lives in a modest boarding house. Her hands tremble as she speaks, her eyes darting to the windows. "The Order worships the stars," she whispers, "but their rituals turn dark. Sacrifices, they called them, to appease the heavens." She confirms Lily Grayson and Reed had crossed paths with the Order Lily through her employer, Lord Ashburn, Grayson through his art dealings, and Red through his investigation. Agnes describes a ritual involving spiced ash, burned to invoke celestial power. Poirot's pulse quickens. The ash matches the killer's signature perfectly. But when he presses for names, Agnes clams up, fear overtaking her. "They see everything," she says, glancing at the sky. Poirot leaves with a new lead, but a growing sense of unease. The killer isn't just a murderer, they're a believer. Driven by a twisted faith, back at St. Mary's Churchyard, Poirot re-examines the scene, his lantern casting eerie shadows across the graves. He notices a faint trail of ash leading to a nearby crypt's door ajar. Inside, he finds a hidden alcove with a star-shaped carving and a burned-out candle. It's wax-laced with the same spiced scent. The crypt is a stage, the killer's private theater. Poirot's mind whirls each crime scene as a ritual, each victim a sacrifice. But why these victims? And why taunt Poirot? He recalls the gala photograph, the cloaked figure in the background. Could they be a member of the Order, orchestrating this deadly game? Poirot visits Madame Duval again, probing for details about the Order's presence at her gala. Her face pales, but she denies any knowledge, her fingers clutching her star-shaped necklace. Poirot's suspicions deepen. Madame Duval knows more than she admits. As night deepens, Poirot returns to his flat, spreading his evidence across his desk. The star trinkets, the notes, the ash, the gala photo, and now a sketch of the Orion's belt pattern. He adds the churchyard to his map, confirming the triangle's completion. But the killer's note, "The stars burn eternal," hints at more to come. Orion's belt is only part of the constellation. The hunter's full form includes shoulders, sword, and shield. Are more murders planned to complete the pattern? Poirot consults his astronomy book, noting Orion's next prominent star aligns with a location near the Thames. He senses time is running out. A knock at the door startles him midst Hastings, breathless, holding a newspaper. Reed's final article, published posthumously, exposes the Order's ties to a powerful figure in London. The name is redacted, but a single word stands out. Ashburn, Lord Ashburn, Lily's employer, is now a suspect. The chapter closes. With Poirot standing by his window, the city's fog pressing against the glass. The killer's charm, sent to his doorstep, feels heavier now, a reminder of their audacity. The Order of the Celestial Veil, the Ash. The stars all point to a conspiracy larger than Poirot imagined. "You weave a clever web, mon ami," he murmurs, his eyes fixed on the starry sky. But Hercule Poirot sees through the shadows. The hunt grows perilous, and the next clue could lead to salvation or doom. Join us for Chapter 5, where Poirot confronts Lord Ashburn and uncovers a betrayal that shakes the case to its core. If this starry mystery has you gripped, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more twists in this deadly tale. The London night pulses with unease, its fog a living thing that swallows light and sound. Hercule Poirot sits at his desk, the star-shaped charm from the killer's taunting package gleaming under the lamplight. The Orion's belt pattern formed by the murders of Lily Marwood, Victor Grayson. And Thomas Reed points to a sinister design, and the cryptic note, "The stars burn eternal," hints at more bloodshed to come. Lovely's in Reed's final article, implicating Lord Ashburn. Lily's employer has set Poirot's little gray cells ablaze. Ashburn, with his nervous demeanor and locked study drawer, is now a key suspect. It's potentially tied to the mysterious Order of the Celestial Veil. As the city sleeps, Poirot prepares to confront the Lord, knowing each step brings him closer to the Starlit Killer, or deeper into their trap. Let's follow Poirot to the Ashburn estate, where betrayal lurks in the shadows and the stars hold their breath. Poirot arrives at the Ashburn estate at dawn, the grand house looming through the mist like a fortress of secrets. Lord Ashburn greets him in the drawing room, his face pale, his hands fidgeting with a gold pocket watch. "Monsieur Poirot, this is absurd," he says, his voice sharp. "Lily's death was a tragedy, but I'm no murderer." Poirot, his eyes piercing, notes the sweat beading on Ashburn's brow. He asks about the Order of the Celestial Veil, watching the Lord's reaction. Ashburn's composure cracks, his watch slipping from his fingers to the floor. "Heard rumors?" he admits, but nothing more. Cult, they say, obsessed with stars. Poirot presses further, mentioning the spiced ash found at the crime scenes. Ashburn claims ignorance, but his eyes dart to the locked drawer. Poirot, noticed before, with a polite smile, Poirot requests to see it. Ashburn hesitates, then unlocks it, revealing a bundle of letters tied with a star-embossed ribbon. "Personal correspondence," he mutters, but Poirot's instincts scream otherwise. The letters are a goldmine, written in the same looping script as the killer's notes. They mention the veil's will and sacrifices to the stars. One letter, dated weeks before Lily's death, references a disloyal servant who must be silenced. Poirot's heart races. Could this refer to Lily? He confronts Ashburn, who grows agitated, claiming the letters came from an anonymous source. "Someone's trying to ruin me," he insists. But Poirot, ever the master of human nature, senses half-truths. He asks about Ashburn's connection to Victor Grayson and Thomas Reed. The Lord admits Grayson sold him a star-themed painting, rumored to be stolen, and Reed had been hounding him for an interview about his associations. The pieces align. All three victims were linked to Ashburn, and the Order's shadow looms larger. Poirot pockets one letter, promising to return it, and leaves Ashburn trembling in his study. Poirot's next stop is a meeting with Captain Hastings at a cozy tea room, where he shares his findings. Hastings, stirring his tea, is incredulous. Ashburn, Lord mixed up with a cult. Poirot nods, his mustache twitching. Oh, the powerful hide their sins best, mon ami. He shows Hastings the letter, pointing out a phrase. The hunter's sword cuts deep. Another reference to Orion, this time its sword. A cluster of stars near the belt. Poirot suspects the killer's next strike will align with this constellation point. Likely near the Thames, as his earlier mapping suggested. It suggests. Staking out the area, but Poirot hesitates. The killer is watching him, as the charm sent to his flat proves. Reckless move could tip them off. Instead, Poirot decides to investigate the painting Grayson sold to Ashburn, hoping it holds a clue to the Order's motives. At Grayson's gallery, Poirot meets Clara, the nervous manager from Chapter 2. She shows him the painting, a haunting depiction of Orion wielding a sword under a starry sky. Tucked into the frame is a small card with the Order's symbol, a star, encircled by a veil. Clara admits Grayson was obsessed with the painting, claiming it was cursed. Poirot examines the canvas, noticing faint traces of the same spiced ash embedded in the paint. Mon Dieu, he murmurs. The killer weaves their art into everything. Clara reveals Grayson had been in contact with Margaret Hale, the widow from Chapter 3 who brokered the painting's sale. Poirot's suspicions of Margaret deepen her star-shaped locket, her travels to India, her presence at the gala. She the killer, orchestrating a deadly ritual? Or is she, like Thorne, a piece of a larger puzzle? Poirot visits the Thames embankment near dusk, scouting the potential next crime scene. The river glitters under the stars, its banks lined with warehouses and shadowed alleys. He notices a small shrine tucked behind a pier, its stones marked with the Order's symbol and sprinkled with ash. The setup mirrors the crypt in the churchyard, a ritual site, waiting for a sacrifice. Poirot's pulse quickens as he spots a cloaked figure watching from a distance, their face obscured. He moves to follow, but the figure vanishes into the fog, leaving only a star-shaped pebble on the ground. The killer is taunting him, always one step ahead. Poirot returns to his flat, where he maps the Thames location, confirming it aligns. With Orion's sword, the pattern is complete, but the motive remains elusive. Is the Order seeking revenge, power, or something more cosmic? As the chapter closes, Poirot receives a chilling new package, a star-shaped ring, wrapped in a note that reads, "The sword falls, Monsieur Poirot." His blood runs cold. The killer is accelerating their plan, and the Thames is their next stage. He stands at his window, the city's lights dimmed by fog, the stars above cold and unyielding. "You play a dangerous game," he whispers, his voice steady with resolve. "But Hercule Poirot shall end it." The hunt grows desperate, and the truth is closer than ever. Stay tuned for Chapter 6, where Poirot stakes out the Thames and faces a revelation that turns the case upside down. If this starry mystery has you on edge, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell. We're diving deeper into the darkness. The fog over London thickens, a ghostly curtain that muffles the city's pulse and hides its secrets. Hercule Poirot stands at his window, clutching the star-shaped ring from the killer's latest taunt. Its note, "The sword falls," Monsieur Poirot, burning in his mind. The Orion's belt pattern, formed by the murders of Lily Marwood, Victor Grayson, and Thomas Reed, has led him to a chilling realization. The Starlit Killer is mapping Orion's constellation across London, and the next strike, aligned with Orion's sword, is imminent near the Thames, as Lord Ashburn's connection to the shadowy order of the Celestial Veil, revealed through cryptic letters, as deepen the mystery, while Margaret Hale's star-shaped locket and Dr. Elias Thorne's celestial obsession keep Poirot's little gray cells in a frenzy. The killer is watching him, their game personal and deadly. Tonight, Poirot plans to stake out the Thames embankment, hoping to catch the Starlit Killer before another star falls. Let's plunge into the misty night, where danger lurks and the truth hangs by a thread. Poirot arrives at the Thames embankment as dusk settles, the river a dark mirror reflecting the faint glow of stars. The air is damp, heavy with the scent of mud and salt, and the distant hum of barges echoes through the fog. He positions himself near the pier where he found the Order's shrine, storm-bossed stones and spiced ash, a grim reminder of the killer's ritualistic flair. His cane rests lightly in his hand, but his eyes are sharp, scanning every shadow. Inspector Japp joins him, grumbling about the cold but trusting Poirot's instincts. "You sure about this Orion business, Poirot?" Japp asks, his breath visible in the chilly air. "Certain mon ami," Poirot replies, pointing to the sky where Orion's sword glitters faintly. "The killer follows the stars, and tonight we follow them too." They set up watch behind a stack of crates, the shrine just visible in the dim light of a gas lamp. Poirot's heart beats steadily, but his senses are alive, anticipating the killer's next move. The embankment is a maze of alleys and warehouses, each corner a potential hiding place. Poirot recalls the cloaked figure he glimpsed here before, their star-shaped pebble a taunting clue. He briefs Japp on the order of the Celestial Veil, sharing Agnes's whispered tales of dark rituals and sacrifices. "They believe the stars demand blood," Poirot explains, his voice low. "Lily, Grayson, Redall were sacrifices, chosen for reasons we do not yet comprehend." Japp shakes his head, skeptical but uneasy. "Sounds like madness, Poirot. Why drag you into it?" Poirot's mustache twitches. "Because, mon ami, the killer craves a worthy opponent. Hercule Poirot is no ordinary foe." As they wait, Poirot reviews his evidence. The star trinkets, the spiced ash, the notes, the Orion pattern, the painting from Grayson's gallery with its veiled star symbol, and Ashburn's letters mentioning a disloyal servant nag at him. Could the victims have betrayed the Order, earning their deaths? Hours pass, the fog growing denser, when a faint sound, a soft crunch of gravel, breaks the silence. Poirot signals Japp to stay low, his eyes locked on the shrine. A figure emerges from the mist, cloaked in black, their movements deliberate. They kneel at the shrine, lighting a candle that releases the familiar scent of cardamom and cloves. Poirot's pulse races as the figure places a star-shaped medallion on the stones, murmuring words he can't quite hear. Is this the Starlit Killer? He creeps closer, Japp at his side, but the figure senses them, bolting into an alley. Poirot pursues, his cane tapping rapidly, but the fog swallows the figure like a specter. At the shrine, Poirot finds the medallion, inscribed with a single word: betrayal. A new note lies beside it. "The sword strikes true, Poirot. Will you?" The killer is toying with him, their confidence chilling. Frustrated but undeterred, Poirot returns to his flat to analyze the medallion. Its design matches the victim's trinkets, but the word betrayal sparks a new theory. He revisits, reads article which hinted at Ashburn's ties to the Order. Could the victims have been members who turned against the group? Poirot contacts Clara, the gallery manager, asking about Grayson's dealings with the Order. She hesitates, then reveals Grayson once mentioned a starlit pact he regretted joining. He said it cost him everything. Clara whispers over the phone. Poirot's mind whirls. Lily's journal mentioned the sky betrays, and Reed S. exposes targeted the Order. Were they all defectors, marked for death? He decides to confront Margaret Hale again. Her star-shaped locket and Indian travels too coincidental to ignore. Poirot visits Margaret's townhouse at noon, the sun doing little to dispel the city's gloom. She greets him with a polished smile, offering tea in her star-decorated parlor. "Monsieur Poirot, you're persistent," she says, her blue eyes sharp. Poirot, ever courteous, mentions the Order and the medallion's inscription. Hand pauses mid-pour, her locket glinting. Betrayal is a heavy word, she says carefully. I know nothing of this order, but I've heard whispers of their fanaticism. Poirot notes her composure, too perfect, and asks about her connection to the victims. She admits knowing them socially, but denies deeper ties. As he leaves, he spots a book on her shelf, Celestial Rituals of the East, its pages marked with notes. On spiced ash, Margaret is no bystander. He's certain, but is she the mastermind or a disciple? Back at his flat, Poirot meets Captain Hastings, who's been digging into Ashburn's finances. The man's in debt, Hastings reports, but he's been funneling money to an account labeled Vale. Suspicious? No? Poirot nods, adding this to his growing web of clues. He maps the Thames crime scene, confirming its alignment. With Orion's sword, the killer's pattern is deliberate, but the motive betrayal suggests a personal vendetta. Poirot recalls Agnes's fear of the Order's reach, their belief in celestial justice. He hypothesizes the killer is an enforcer, punishing those who broke the Order's oaths. The notes, the charms, they're personal, as if the killer knows him. He digs into his past cases, searching for connections to astronomy or cults, but finds none. The answer lies closer, he senses, perhaps in the gala itself. As night falls, Poirot returns to the embankment alone, determined. To uncover more? The shrine is untouched, but a new clue awaits. A star-shaped vial of ash, hidden beneath a stone. He sends it to his chemist friend, who confirms it contains rare eastern spices and a trace of poison likely the cause of Reed's burn mark. The killer's method is sophisticated, their rituals precise. Poirot's thoughts are interrupted by a scream from the riverbank. He rushes toward it, finding a young woman, terrified but unharmed, claiming she saw a cloaked figure drop a knife. Into the Thames. Poirot searches but finds only a star-shaped etching on the pier, another taunt. The killer is escalating, their next strike imminent. He phones Jap, urging a patrol of the Thames, but fears it's too late. The chapter closes with Poirot back at his flat, the star-shaped ring heavy in his pocket. The fog outside presses against the windows, the stars above obscured but ever present. The killer's note, "The sword strikes true," echoes in his mind, a warning of bloodshed to come. He traces the Orion pattern on his map, noting the next star aligns with a bridge near Westminster. "You think to outrun me, mon ami?" Poirot murmurs, his voice a blend of steel and resolve. But Hercule Poirot sees the stars you hide behind. The hunt is a race against time, and the truth is a shadow just out of reach. Join us for Chapter 7, where Poirot uncovers a hidden link between the victims and faces a trap that could end his hunt forever. If this mystery has you gripped, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell. We are plunging deeper into the Starlit Killer's game. The London night is a canvas of fog and fear, its stars veiled as if guarding the secrets of the Starlit Killer. Hercule Poirot sits in his orderly flat, the star-shaped ring from the killer's latest taunt resting on his desk, beside a map of London, where the Orion constellation's deadly pattern marked by the murders of Lily Marwood. Victor Grayson and Thomas Reed points to a new location, a bridge near Westminster, lined with Orion's sword. The killer's note, "The sword strikes true, Monsieur Poirot," feels like a ticking clock, urging him to act before another life is claimed. The Order of the Celestial Veil looms large, its rituals of spiced ash and starry symbols tying the victims to a shadowy conspiracy. Lord Ashburn's cryptic letters, Margaret Hale's suspicious locket, and Dr. Elias Thorne's celestial obsession form a tangled web, but the killer's personal taunts, directed at Poirot himself, hint at a deeper connection. Tonight, Poirot plans to stake out Westminster Bridge, hoping to catch the killer in the act. Let's follow him into the misty darkness, where a trap awaits and the truth glimmers just out of reach. Poirot arrives at Westminster Bridge as the city clocks strike 10, their chimes muffled by the fog. The bridge arches over the Thames, its gas lamps casting pools of light that struggle against the encroaching mist. The air is thick with the scent of river water and coal smoke, and the distant clatter of carriages fades into an eerie silence. Poirot, his cane gripped tightly, positions himself near the bridge's center, where a small alcove offers a view of both sides. Inspector Japp, ever loyal but skeptical, joins him, his overcoat buttoned against the chill. This is madness. Poirot, Japp mutters, scanning the empty bridge. What makes you so sure they'll strike here? Poirot's eyes gleam, fixed on the sky where Orion's sword would shine if not for the fog. The killer follows a pattern, mon ami, he says, tapping his map. The stars guide them, and this bridge is their next canvas. He points to the alcove, where a faint trace of spiced ash cardamom and cloves lingers on the stone. A chilling echo of the killer's ritual sites. The stakeout begins, Poirot and Japp blending into the shadows. Poirot's mind churns over the evidence. The star-shaped trinkets left with each victim. The notes in elegant script, the ash laced with poison, and the Orion pattern mapping the murders across London. The word betrayal on the medallion from the Thames Shrine nags at him. Lily's journal spoke of the sky betrays, and Reed's article hinted at a traitor within the Order of the Celestial Veil. Were the victims defectors, punished for breaking their oaths? Poirot recalls Annis's terrified whispers about the Order's dark rituals, their belief in celestial sacrifices. Lord Ashburn's letters mentioned a disloyal servant, possibly Lily, while Grayson's Starlit Pact and Reed's exposes suggest they too crossed the Order. But why target Poirot? The personal notes, the charm sent to his flat, they suggest the killer knows him. Perhaps from a past he cannot yet recall. As midnight approaches, the fog thickens, turning the bridge into a ghostly stage. Poirot's senses sharpen, catching every sound, the lap of the Thames against the piers, the creak of a distant boat, the faint shuffle of footsteps. He signals Japp to stay alert, his eyes locked on the alcove. A figure emerges from the mist, cloaked in black, their movements swift and deliberate. They kneel at the alcove, lighting a candle that releases the familiar scent of spiced ash. Poirot's heart races. This is the killer, preparing their ritual. The figure places a star-shaped pendant on the stone, its silver catching the gaslight. Poirot creeps closer, Japp at his side, but a sudden noise had dropped. Crate alerts the figure. They whirl, their face hidden by a hood, and sprint toward the bridge's end. Poirot pursues, his cane tapping rapidly, but the fog swallows the figure. Leaving only a note, the sword cuts deep. Poirot, you're late. Frustrated, Poirot examines the alcove. The pendant is identical to those found on the victims, and the note's script matches the others. But there's no body yet. Poirot's relief is short-lived as Japp shouts from the bridge's edge. Below, in the shallow water, lies a woman, her body still, a star-shaped brooch pinned to her dress. The police haul her ashore, confirming. She's alive but unconscious, her pulse faint. Her name is Emily Carter, a librarian known for her research into ancient cults. A note in her pocket reads, "The stars forgive no one." Poirot's blood runs cold. The killer intended a murder but was interrupted. The ash on Emily's coat confirms the ritual, but the poison's absence suggests the killer fled before. Completing their work, Emily is rushed to a hospital, leaving Poirot with a new urgency. The killer is growing reckless, and their next strike will be swift. Poirot visits Emily's library the next morning, a quiet space filled with dusty tomes and star charts. Her desk holds notes on the Order of the Celestial Veil, detailing their origins in a 17th century sect that believed betrayers of the stars must die. One note mentions a guardian of the veil, a figure who enforces the Order's will.
Ow.
Poirot's mind sparks. Is this the killer? He finds a photograph of Emily at the charity gala, standing near Margaret Hale and Dr. Elias Thorne. The connections tighten. All victims, and now Emily, were linked to the gala and the Order. Poirot questions Emily's colleague, a timid man named Henry, who reveals she was writing a book exposing the Order's modern revival. She was scared, Henry said someone was watching her. Poirot's thoughts turn to the cloaked figure, their hooded face a persistent shadow in his mind. Returning to his flat, Poirot meets Captain Hastings, who's been investigating Lord Ashburn's financial ties to the Order. The Veil. Account leads to a shell company, Hastings says, spreading papers across the desk. Ashburn's been funding them for years, but there's another name, Thorne. Poirot's eyebrows lift. Dr. Elias Thorne, the astronomer, is entangled deeper than he admitted. Poirot revisits Thorne's observatory, finding it deserted. The star chart's gone. A hidden drawer reveals a ledger listing payments to M.H. Margaret Hale. The plot thickens, but a new clue emerges. A star-shaped seal with the order's symbol, stained with the same poisoned ash. Thorne is either a mastermind or a pawn. But his absence suggests he's on the run or the killer's next target. Poirot's investigation takes him back to Margaret Hale's townhouse, where her polished demeanor falters. He confronts her about the ledger in her locket, which matches the killer's trinkets. A coincidence, she insists, but her hands tremble. Poirot notices a new book on her shelf, Orion's Legacy, with passages underlined about the constellation's role in ancient justice. He asks about her travels to India, where the spiced ash originates. Margaret claims it was for charity, but her eyes betray fear. As Poirot leaves, he spots a cloaked figure watching from across the street, vanishing before he can pursue. The killer is circling, their trap closing. Atop maps the next star in Orion's constellation a shoulder, aligning with a park near St. Paul's. He senses the killer's pattern is nearing its climax. As night falls, Poirot stands on his balcony, the star-shaped ring heavy in his pocket. The fog presses against the city, the stars above a faint promise of truth. The killers. Note, the sword cuts deep echoes, a reminder of their audacity. Poirot's mind races, piecing together the gala, the order, the betrayals. Could he have crossed the order in a past case, forgotten but not forgiven? He vows to protect Emily, find Thorne, and unmask the killer before the next star falls. You. Challenge Hercule Poirot, he whispers, his voice resolute. But the stars will shine on my truth. The hunt is a deadly dance, and the next move could be his last. Join us for Chapter 8, where Poirot tracks Thorne to a hidden lair and faces a revelation that shatters his theories. If this starry mystery has you hooked, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell we are racing toward, the killer's endgame. The London fog clings to the city like a shroud, its tendrils weaving through the streets as if shielding the Starlit Killer's secrets. Hercule Poirot stands in his flat, the star-shaped ring from the killer's latest taunt gleaming under. His desk lamp, its note, "The sword cuts deep, Monsieur Poirot," a chilling reminder of the stakes. The Orion constellation's deadly pattern marked by the murders of Lily Marwood, Victor Grayson, and Thomas Reed, and the near death of Emily Carter points to a new location, a park near St. Paul's aligned with Orion's shoulder. The Order of the Celestial Veil, with its rituals of spiced ash and starry symbols, binds the victims, and Dr. Elias Thorne's sudden disappearance, along with his ledger, linking him to Margaret Hale and Lord Yi. Ashburn has set Poirot's little gray cells ablaze. The killer's personal taunts suggest a connection to Poirot's past, one he cannot yet grasp. Tonight, Poirot follows a lead to a hidden lair where Thorne may be hiding, hoping to unmask the killer before the next star falls. Let's plunge into the shadows, where a revelation awaits that could shatter everything Poirot believes. Poirot sets out at dusk, his cane tapping rhythmically as he navigates the labyrinthine streets toward a derelict warehouse in Shoreditch. A tip from Hastings about Thorne's last known whereabouts. The air is heavy with the scent of damp wood and coal dust, the fog so thick it muffles the city's pulse. The warehouse looms, its windows boarded, its walls scarred by time. Poirot's heart beats steadily, but his senses are razor-sharp, alert to every creak and shadow. Inspector Japp meets him at the entrance, his lantern casting a feeble glow. "This place gives me the creeps, Poirot," Japp mutters, gripping his truncheon. "You sure Thorne's here?" Poirot nods, his eyes fixed on a faint star-shaped carving on the door, identical to the Order's symbol. The killer leads. "Us here, mon ami," he says softly. "Whether it is Thorne or another, we shall find the truth." They slip inside, the darkness swallowing them like a tomb. The warehouse is a cavern of crates and cobwebs, its air thick with the scent of spiced ash cardamom and cloves, the killer's signature. Poirot's lantern reveals a trail of ash, leading to a hidden staircase descending into a basement. The silence is oppressive, broken only by the drip of water and the faint rustle of movement below. Poirot and Jap descend, their footsteps echoing. The basement is a shrine to the Order of the Celestial Veil. Star charts cover the walls. Candles burn with the telltale spiced scent, and a stone altar bears a star-shaped medallion etched with Orion's will. Poirot's pulse quickens. This is the killer's lair, their sanctum. A leather-bound book on the altar catches his eye, its pages filled with names, dates, and cryptic phrases. The betrayers fall, the stars demand. Among the names are Lily Marwood, Victor Grayson, Thomas Reed, and Emily Carter, each marked with a star and the word punished. Poirot's blood runs cold. His name is there too, circled in red ink. Before Poirot can process this, a shadow moves in the corner. Dr. Elias Thorne emerges, his gaunt face pale, his eyes wild with fear. "Monsieur Poirot, you shouldn't be here," he whispers, clutching a star-shaped amulet. Poirot, his voice calm but firm, demands answers. Thorne's story spills out in a rush. He was a member of the Order, drawn by its celestial lore, but grew horrified by their turn to violence. "They believe betrayers of the stars must die," he says, trembling. "Lily Grayson, Reed, they all tried to leave or expose the Order. I fled when I realized I was next." Poirot's eyes narrow. "And the ash? The trinkets?" Thorne admits the Order uses poisoned ash in rituals, a toxin derived from eastern plants. But he swears he's no killer, pointing to a cloaked figure he saw at the gala, orchestrating the murders. "Call them the Guardian," Thorne says. "I don't know their face." Poirot's mind races. The Guardian of the Veil mentioned. In Emily's notes, is the killer an enforcer punishing defectors? But why target Poirot? He presses Thorne, who reveals a shocking detail. Years ago, Poirot investigated a case involving a cult-like group, unknowingly disrupting an early incarnation of the Order. "They never forgot you," Thorne says. "The Guardian sees you as the ultimate betrayer." Poirot's memory stirs a case in Brussels, a group obsessed with astronomy, dismissed as harmless eccentrics. Could it be the seed of this deadly vendetta? Before he can ask more, a crash echoes above. Jap draws his truncheon, but Thorne bolts, vanishing into a hidden passage. Poirot curses softly. Thorne is a key, but a slippery one, back at his flat. Poirot meets Captain Hastings, who's been digging into Margaret Hale's past. She's no widow, Hastings reveals, spreading documents across the desk. Her husband vanished under mysterious circumstances in India, where she studied with mystics tied to celestial rituals.
Ow.
Poirot's eyebrows lift. Margaret's locket, her knowledge of spiced ash, her presence at the gala, all point to her as a prime suspect. Could she be the Guardian? Poirot revisits the gala photograph, noticing a detail he missed. Margaret's hand resting on a star-shaped brooch pinned to Lord Ashburn's coat. The connections tighten. Margaret's ledger, Margaret's secrets. Poirot suspects a triangle of power within the Order. But the Guardian's identity remains elusive. Determined to protect Emily Carter, Poirot visits her in the hospital, where she's recovering from the killer's failed attack. Her voice is weak, but her eyes are sharp. "The Order knows I found their texts," she whispers, handing Poirot a notebook. It details a ritual called Orion's Reckoning, where 7 sacrifices representing Orion's stars cleanse. The Order of Betrayal. 4 victims are down, 3 remain. Poirot's name in the Lair's book suggests he's one of them. He leaves Emily under police guard, his mind whirling.
Oh.
The park near St. Paul's, the next star in Orion's shoulder. Is the likely stage for the killer's next move? He maps the location, noting its proximity to a cathedral known for its star-shaped mosaics, a perfect ritual site, as night falls. Poirot returns to the warehouse alone, hoping to find more clues. The basement is untouched, but a new note awaits. On the altar, the shoulder bears the weight. "Poirot, will you?" The script matches the killer's, and a star-shaped vial of poisoned ash sits beside it. Poirot's chemist confirms the toxin is lethal in seconds, explaining Reed's burn mark and Emily's collapse. The killer's precision is terrifying, their rituals a blend of science and fanaticism. Poirot's thoughts are interrupted by a faint sound. A cloaked figure slips through the passage Thorne used. He follows, emerging in an alley where the figure vanishes, leaving a star-shaped pebble etched with Guardian. The killer is taunting him, their trap tightening. Back at his flat, Poirot spreads his evidence: the trinkets, notes, ash, ledger, and Emily's notebook. The Orion pattern is nearly complete, but the motive betrayal suggests a personal vendetta, possibly rooted in his past case. He digs into his old files, finding the Brussels case, a cult called the Starlit Covenant, dismantled after he exposed their fraud. Several members escaped, vowing revenge. Could the Order be their revival? The Guardian their leader? Poirot's resolve hardens. He phones Jap, urging a patrol of the park near St. Paul's, but fears the killer is already there, waiting. Fog outside his window is a mirror of his uncertainty. Stars above, a silent challenge. The chapter closes with Poirot on his balcony, the star-shaped ring heavy in his hand. The killer's note: the shoulder bears the weight, feels like a countdown to his own fate. He traces Orion's shoulder on his map, the park's location a beacon in the darkness. "You think to break Hercule Poirot?" he murmurs, his voice steady with defiance. But the stars will bow to my truth. The hunt is a deadly race, and the next move could end it all. Join us for Chapter 9, where Poirot stakes out the park and faces a betrayal that changes everything. This starry mystery has you gripped. Smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell. We are hurtling toward the killer's final act. The fog over London is a living veil, cloaking the city in a hush that amplifies every heartbeat. Hercule Poirot stands at his desk, the star-shaped ring from the Starlit Killer's latest taunt glinting under the lamplight. Its note: the shoulder bears the weight, Monsieur Poirot, a dire warning etched in his mind. The Orion constellation's deadly pattern, marked by the murders of Lily Marwood, Victor Grayson, and Thomas Reed, and the near-fatal attack on Emily Carter, now points to a park near St. Paul's Cathedral, aligned with Orion's shoulder. The Order of the Celestial Veil, with its poisoned ash and starry rituals, weaves a conspiracy that binds the victims: Lord Ashburn, Margaret Hale, and the elusive Dr. Elias Thorne. Poirot's name in the Order's book, circled in red, suggests he's a target, possibly linked to a past case in Brussels where he disrupted the Starlit Covenant, a precursor to the Order. Tonight, Poirot plans to stake out the park, determined to catch the Guardian, the killer's true identity, before the next sacrifice. Let's venture into the starry night, where betrayal lurks and the truth teeters on a knife's edge. Poirot arrives at the park near St. Paul's as the city clocks toll 11, their chimes swallowed by the fog. The park is a quiet oasis, its ancient oaks and winding paths bathed in the soft glow of gas lamps. St. Paul's looms in the distance, its dome a ghostly silhouette. The air carries the scent of wet leaves and faint traces of spiced ash, cardamom, and cloves. The killer's calling card. Poirot, his cane gripped firmly, positions himself near a stone fountain adorned with star-shaped carvings, a likely ritual site. Inspector Jap joins him, his lantern dimmed to avoid detection. "This had better work, Poirot," Jap whispers, his breath visible in the chill. "The yard's breathing down my neck." Poirot's eyes, sharp as ever, scan the shadows. "Patience, mon ami," he replies, pointing to the sky where Orion's shoulder would gleam if not for the fog. The killer follows the stars, and tonight we intercept their path. They settle into the shadows, fountain's soft gurgle masking their presence. The park feels alive with menace, its silence a canvas for Poirot's racing thoughts. He reviews the evidence: the star-shaped trinkets, the poisoned ash, the notes in elegant script, and the Orion pattern mapping the murders. The word betrayal on the Thames medallion and Emily's notes about Orion's reckoning, a ritual demanding 7 sacrifices, suggests the victims were punished for defying the Order. Lily's journal hinted at the sky betrays. Grayson regretted a starlit pact, Reed exposed the Order, and Emily researched their secrets. Poirot's own name in the Lairs book ties to his Brussels case, where he dismantled the Starlit Covenant, earning the Order's eternal grudge. The Guardian, The killer's title remains a shadow, possibly Margaret Hale. With her locket and Indian ties, or Thorn, whose disappearance screams guilt. Lord Ashburn's funding and cryptic letters add another layer. But the killer's personal taunts suggest a vendetta Poirot cannot yet unravel. As midnight nears, the fog thickens, turning the park into a spectral maze. Poirot's senses sharpen, catching a faint rustle in the underbrush. He signals Jap to stay low, his eyes locked on the fountain. A cloaked figure emerges, their movements fluid, almost ghostly. They kneel at the fountain, lighting a candle that releases the spiced ashes. Familiar scent. A star-shaped amulet gleams in their hand, placed carefully on the stone. Poirot's heart pounds. This is the guardian, preparing their ritual. He creeps closer, Jap at his side, but a twig snaps underfoot, and the figure whirls, their hooded face obscured. "Poirot!" a voice hisses, low and chilling. "You're too late." They hurl a vial of ash, its contents sparking in the air, and bolt into the fog. Poirot dodges, coughing as the toxin stings his eyes, and pursues his cane, tapping urgently. The figure vanishes near a grove, leaving a note. The shoulder falls. "Poirot, you're next." At the fountain, Poirot finds the amulet inscribed with reckoning. And a new clue, a silk scarf stained with ash, embroidered with the initials Margaret Hale. Suspicions surge, but the scarf feels too convenient a possible plant. Jap, panting from the chase, curses their luck, but Poirot's mind is already whirling. The killer's voice cultured, deliberate, felt familiar yet distorted. He returns to the fountain, noticing a hidden compartment in the stone, containing a small journal. Its pages detail the order's hierarchy. Ashburn as a financier, Thorn as a scholar, and a guardian whose name is redacted. A chilling entry reads, "Poirot disrupted the covenant. His reckoning is ours." The journal confirms his past case as the motive, but the guardian's identity remains elusive. Poirot pockets the journal, determined to protect the next potential victim. The next morning, Poirot visits Emily Carter in the hospital. Her recovery slow but steady. She clutches his hand, her voice urgent. "The guardian is someone close," she whispers, recalling a gala conversation where Margaret Hale mentioned a starlit debt owed to the order. Emily's notebook, in Poirot's possession, describes the final 2 sacrifices: Orion's other shoulder and head, likely targeting St. Paul's itself or a nearby rooftop. Poirot's pulse quickens. The killer's pattern is nearing its climax. He questions Emily about Thorn learning. He once confided in her about a betrayal within the order. He said the guardian was untouchable. Emily murmurs, someone everyone trusted. Poirot's thoughts turn to Margaret Ashburn, even Madame Duval, whose gala hosted the victims. The killer hides in plain sight, their mask perfect. Poirot meets Captain Hastings at a bustling cafe, sharing the journal's revelations. Hastings, stirring his coffee, is wide-eyed. "Your Brussels case? That was ages ago." Poirot nods, his mustache twitching. "The order has a long memory, mon ami, and the guardian has a personal stake." Hastings reveals a new lead. Ashburn's shell company, Vale, recently transferred funds to a property near St. Paul's, a rooftop observatory ideal for a ritual. Poirot's eyes gleam. The killer's final stage is set. He revisits Thorn's abandoned observatory, finding a hidden letter addressed to Margaret Hale, begging her to end the guardian's madness. Thorn's fear was real, but his role, victim or accomplice, remains unclear. Poirot suspects a trap, the letter another breadcrumb to mislead him. Determined to confront Margaret, Poirot visits her townhouse, but finds it empty, the star-decorated parlor eerily silent. Servant reveals she left for a meeting under the stars. Poirot's heart sinks. Margaret is at the observatory, possibly as the guardian or the next victim. He rushes to the rooftop property, a glass-domed structure overlooking St. Paul's. The fog parts, revealing Orion's stars, and the scent of spiced ash wafts from within. Inside he finds a ritual in progress. Candles burn, a star-shaped altar, holds a poison vial, and a cloaked figure chants softly. Poirot steps forward, his voice steady. "The game ends, guardian." The figure turns, but before they can speak, a shot rings out from the shadows, and the figure collapses. Poirot whirls, seeing a second cloaked figure flee across the roof. The fallen figure is Margaret Hale, alive but wounded, a star-shaped locket clutched in her hand. "Not me," she gasps. "The Guardian betrayed us all." Poirot kneels beside her, his mind racing. Margaret was a disciple, not the Guardian, lured here as a sacrifice. The second figure, the true killer, escaped, their shot a desperate act to silence her. Jap arrives with reinforcements, but the killer is gone, leaving a note. The head rises, Poirot. "The stars end with you." The final sacrifice. Orion's head targets Poirot himself, likely at St. Paul's Dome, a celestial stage. Margaret, fading, whispers, "The Guardian was at the gala. It trusted by all." Poirot's thoughts flash to Madame Duval, her star-shaped necklace, her nervous denials. Could she be the mastermind orchestrating the Order's revenge? Is Thorne still missing, the true puppeteer? As dawn breaks, Poirot stands on the rooftop, the fog lifting to reveal London's spires. The star-shaped ring feels heavy, the killer's note a death sentence. His past case, the Covenant's fall, has birthed a vendetta that now threatens his life. He maps the final star, St. Paul's Dome, knowing the killer awaits. "You think to end Hercule Poirot," he murmurs, his voice steel. "But the stars will light my path." The hunt is a deadly crescendo, and the truth is a heartbeat away. Join us for Chapter 10, where Poirot faces the Guardian in a final showdown that unveils the Starlit Killer's face. If this mystery has you gripped, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell. The endgame awaits. The London fog parts at last, revealing a sky ablaze with stars, as if the heavens themselves are watching the final act of the Starlit Killer's deadly drama. Hercule Poirot stands on the rooftop observatory, the star-shaped ring from the killers. Taunts heavy in his pocket, its note. The head rises. "Monsieur Poirot, the stars end with you," a chilling prophecy. The Orion constellation's lethal pattern marked by the murders of Lily Marwood, Victor Grayson, and Thomas Reed, the near-death of Emily Carter, and the wounding of Margaret Hale, has led to this moment. The final sacrifice, aligned with Orion's head, is set for St. Paul's Cathedral's Dome, a celestial stage for the killer's endgame. The Order of the Celestial Veil, with its poisoned ash and starry rituals, has woven a web of betrayal, implicating Lord Ashburn, Dr. Elias Thorne, and Margaret Hale. But the true Guardian, the Starlit Killer, remains a shadow. Margaret's dying words, "The Guardian trusted by all," point to Madame Duval, the gala's host, whose star-shaped necklace and nervous denials now burn in Poirot's mind. With his little gray cells at their peak, Poirot prepares for a showdown at St. Paul's, knowing he's the final target. Let's climb into the starry dome, where truth and treachery collide in a heart-stopping finale. Poirot arrives at St. Paul's Cathedral as midnight approaches. Its majestic dome gleaming under the starlight, a monument to faith and secrets. The air is crisp, carrying the faint scent of incense from within, mingled with the ever-present spiced ash, cardamom, and cloves that marks the killer's presence. The cathedral is closed, but a side door is ajar, its lock tampered with. A silent invitation. Poirot, his cane gripped tightly, slips inside, his polished shoes echoing softly on the marble floor. Inspector Japp, summoned by an urgent call, follows close behind, his lantern dimmed to avoid detection. "This is it, Poirot," Japp whispers, his voice taut. "You sure about Duval?" Poirot's eyes, sharp as steel, scan the darkened nave. "The Guardian hides among friends, mon ami," he replies. Madame Duval's gala birthed this nightmare, and tonight her mask falls. They ascend a spiral staircase to the Whispering Gallery, then higher toward the dome's outer platform, where the stars reign supreme. The platform is a windswept expanse, encircled by a low railing, the city sprawling below like a map of shadows. Orion's head glitters overhead, its stars a cold mirror of the killer's obsession. Poirot's heart pounds, but his mind is a beacon of clarity. He recalls the evidence, the star-shaped trinkets, the poisoned ash, the notes in elegant script, and the Orion pattern that turned London into a canvas of death. The Order's ritual, Orion's reckoning, demanded 7 sacrifices to purge. Betrayal, with Lily, Grayson, Reed, and Emily as the first 4. Margaret Hale, shot by the Guardian, was the 5th, leaving 2 likely Thorn, still missing, and Poirot himself. His Brussels case, where he dismantled the Starlight Covenant, sparked the Order's vendetta, and the Guardian's taunts suggest a personal grudge. Madame Duval, with her star-shaped necklace and intimate knowledge of the victims, fits the profile, but Poirot senses a final twist at the platform's center. A ritual site awaits. A circle of candles burns, their spiced ash filling the air, and a star-shaped altar holds a silver dagger, its blade etched with the Order symbol. A note, pinned to the altar, reads, "The head bows, Poirot." The stars claim their due. Poirot's pulse quickens. This is the killer's stage, and he's the final act. Jap, scanning the shadows, grips his truncheon. "Where are they?" he mutters, but Poirot raises a hand, silencing him. A soft hum echoes, a chant in an ancient tongue, and a cloaked figure steps from behind a pillar, their face hidden by a hood. "Monsieur Poirot," the voice purrs, cultured and chillingly familiar. "You followed the stars admirably." Poirot's eyes narrow. "Madame Duval, the game is over. Show yourself." Laughs, a sound like breaking glass, and lowers their hood. Not Duval, but Dr. Elias Thorn, his gaunt face twisted with fanatic zeal. Poirot's mind reels. Thorn, the frightened astronomer, is the Guardian. "You surprise even Hercule Poirot," he says, his voice steady despite the shock. Thorn's eyes burn, clutching a star-shaped amulet. "The Order chose me to cleanse its betrayers," he sneers. "Lily, Grayson, Reed, Emily, they broke our oaths." Margaret was weak, a pawn to be sacrificed. "And you, Poirot, you shattered the covenant in Brussels, defying the stars." Thorn reveals his plan. The Orion pattern was a tribute to the heavens. It's each murder a ritual to restore the Order's power. Poirot's inclusion was personal. Thorn's father, a covenant leader, vanished after Poirot's investigation, driving Thorn to madness and revenge. The poisoned ash, the trinkets, the note saul were his design. A symphony of death to lure Poirot here. Poirot's little gray cells spark, piecing together the final clues. Thorn's ledger, his disappearance, his fear, was a performance, masking his role as the Guardian. Margaret's shooting was a ruse to deflect suspicion, and Madame Duval, with her necklace, was a decoy, manipulated by Thorn's charm. "You are clever, Monsieur," Poirot says, stepping closer, "but your obsession blinds you. The stars do not demand blood." Thorn laughs, raising the dagger. "You're wrong, Poirot. Your death completes the reckoning." He lunges, but Poirot, agile, despite his age, sidesteps, his cane knocking the dagger away. Jap charges, tackling Thorn, but the astronomer slips free, scrambling toward the railing. Poirot shouts, "Stop, Thorn! The stars will not save you!" But Thorn, wild-eyed, leaps into the fog, his scream fading into the night below. Jap rushes to the edge, but Thorn is gone, swallowed by the Thames or the shadows. Poirot kneels, retrieving the dagger, its star-shaped hilt heavy with guilt. The ritual is broken, the reckoning incomplete, but at what cost? He finds a final note in Thorn's cloak. "The stars forgive, but I do not." The words chill. Him Thorn's vendetta was his own, the Order a tool for his madness. Poirot descends to the cathedral's nave where police swarm, summoned by Jap's whistle. Madame Duval arrives, tearful, confessing she suspected Thorn but feared his power. "He used my gala," she sobs, her star-shaped necklace a harmless gift from him. Lord Ashburn, arrested for funding the Order, claims ignorance of Thorn's murders, his letters forged to frame him. Emily Carter, safe in the hospital, confirms Thorn's obsession, her research's trigger. The web unravels, but Poirot feels no triumph. Thorn's leap was his final taunt, star falling into darkness. Back at his flat, Poirot sits at his desk, the star-shaped ring beside his notebook, now filled with the case's details. The Orion pattern, the ash, the trinkets there. relics of a mind unhinged by loss and fanaticism. He visits Margaret Hale, recovering in a private ward, who admits her role as a disciple lured by Thorne's promises of celestial power. "He was our star," she murmurs, "but he burned too bright." Poirot's thoughts turn to his Brussels case, a forgotten spark that ignited this nightmare. He vows to review his past, ensuring no other shadows linger. Captain Hastings stops by, offering brandy and optimism. "You got him, Poirot," he says, clapping his shoulder. Poirot smiles faintly. "None, mon ami. The stars did." It's dawn. Breaks. Poirot stands on his balcony. The fog gone, the stars fading into a rosy sky. The killer's ring feels lighter, a reminder of his victory and his vulnerability. "You thought to end Hercule Poirot," he whispers, his voice resolute. "But the truth shines brighter than your stars." The hunt is over, but its echoes linger, a testament to the little gray cells that pierce the darkness. Thank you for joining this starry mystery. If you're gripped by Poirot's triumph, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell for more tales of truth and treachery. Comment below, who did you suspect was the Starlit Killer? Let's unravel the next mystery together.